Hi, welcome to Riverside High School's informational meeting. This is a recording of the presentation that we did on Monday night at the future home of Riverside High School on the Athey Creek campus. So tonight's presentation is to really kind of dive into some of the details of what we've been planning at Riverside, allow you to see some examples as we're continuing to plan. So hopefully give you a little bit more in-depth information about what we're doing at Riverside High School. So in this presentation, we'll talk a little bit more about information. We're going to talk a little bit about enrollment, and then we would love your input. Since this is not our live presentation, if you do have questions, feel free to email us and we will answer those as they come in. We are also continuing to update a FAQ page on our website, so it might be a great way to find quick answers as well, is to visit our webpage. So Riverside High School is a small comprehensive high school that we're building in West Linn-Wilsonville School District. It is a school of choice for all students in our district, and therefore the district is committed to providing transportation across the district for those who want to access Riverside. So if you want to go to Riverside and you need transportation, we'll find a way to get that transportation to you and then to the school. We opened the fall of 23-24. And we are in a grade roll-up model, which means we're going to start the first year with grades 9 and 10. And then 2024 and 25 will be grades 9, 10, and 11. 2025-26 we'll have grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that'll be our first year with all 4 grade levels at the high school. We're a school that's going to support all students that walk through our doors, whether that's the traditional student, a student with an IEP, a 504, an ELD, or a gifted education plan. Anybody that walks through our doors at Riverside, we're going to serve to the best of our abilities. I want to talk a little bit about graduation requirements. So to graduate at RHS or Riverside High School would be the same requirements as West Linn High School and Wilsonville High School. Those requirements are set by the state of Oregon and then also by our board through the policy that you're seeing on the screen. And so that is a 24 credit diploma, and specifically broken down, you're looking at 3 credits in math, algebra 1 or above, 4 credits in language arts, 3 credits in science, 3 credits in social sciences, 1 credit in health, 1 credit in PE, and then 3 credits in career and technical ed or arts or world language. Just a quick note about world language. If you are planning to go to a 4-year college after high school, you want to have 2 consecutive years in a world language. Most institutions are going to want more than that, but that's the minimum. So you want to be thinking about that as you're thinking about how you're moving forward, picking the classes for that area. And then the rest are made up through elective credits.
We'd like to give you a little bit of information about our curriculum offerings. This is a general idea of the courses that we will offer at RHS. These are subject to change. Right now, we do not have students and staff at RHS, and so this is a general idea. However, we are going to adapt based on student interest, based on the staff that we are able to have at Riverside and curriculum development with our staff. As we grow as a school, we will continue to expand our course offerings. We also want you to know that we want a diverse group of students at RHS. And we know that some students are really interested in a CTE pathway, and we're excited about that. We know that there are other students who really want to participate in the full IB program that we'll talk about a little bit later. And then we also know that we will have students who are just wanting a smaller high school experience, don't want to take CTE or IB programs, and just want to experience a smaller high school in the West Linn-Wilsonville School District. And so RHS can be a school for any of these types of students. So talking about curriculum offerings, looking here at language arts, we will have 9th graders start with language arts 9, and then as sophomores, they go to language arts 10. This is consistent with both West Linn and Wilsonville. Where you see a difference is in their junior year. Students will take either IB Language and Literature or IB Literature. We're going to talk a little bit more about the IB program later in this session, but one of the things that we are going to be at Riverside is an IB for all school. And that means that every student at Riverside High School will take one IB course, and the language arts course will be that IB course. So students will either get to choose IB Language and Lit or IB Lit. For their senior year, there's a little bit more option. They can continue on the IB path, or they can take a language arts selective course, which you can see some examples below. Once again, these are examples. These are not what we're guaranteeing, but some good idea of what we're looking at for RHS next year. Next up is our math course alignment. One of the things about the IB program is that it is a very integrated curriculum. And so we are looking at integrating our math curriculum and making it a integrated system for those typical geometry and algebra 2s. So as you can see at the top, AGS, which represents algebra, geometry, and statistics. That's equivalent to a geometry course, but it will be integrated and have all 3 subjects within that course. So most students will begin at the algebra or the AGS 2 level when they enter into 9th grade. Then they would go to AGS 3 or AGS 3 projects. The projects class is a little bit more hands-on, applicable to real-world settings. For example, somebody who is extremely interested in construction and architecture may find that the project class is a little bit more applicable to the way that they like to learn math. From there, after AGS 3, students will be able to choose an IB analysis course or an IB applications course, or they can take math selectives. The IB analysis gets, if you keep going all the way down to IB analysis 3, it is that more traditional calculus route, although integrated throughout all. IB applications 1 and 2 kind of get you through that pre-calc and maybe the beginning calc courses. Once again, these are integrated, and students after AGS 3 can choose math selectives, and we're looking at some financial algebra and statistics options for students. Next up is our science courses. Students will enter into 9th grade in biology. This is consistent also with the Linn-Wilsonville high schools. From there, as sophomores, they can choose chemistry or physics based on their interest. After chemistry and physics, it becomes a lot more open-ended. We'll have 2 IB routes, a biology and a physics route. Also, we will have anatomy and physiology, which will tie nicely with our health occupations career pathway. And we will also have science selectives that students can take anytime after that chemistry physics phase, where they could take some forensic science or earth and space science, those types of courses. And once again, for science, it's 3 years required to graduate. Social studies. Students will enter in their 9th grade year with world history, and then sophomore year US history. This is consistent with WHS and WLHS. Also, students will need economics and civics. Civics is government in order to graduate. Those are the 3 the 3 requirements in order to graduate, 4 requirements in order to graduate. But then also we know that we have many students who really are interested in the social studies curriculum. And so we will have social studies selectives also that students can take their junior and senior year, including things like psychology, history through film, and those types of courses. Health and PE and world language. So health and PE, it is required 1 year of health and 1 year of PE in order to graduate. We will have the Health 1 and Health 2, which fulfill the Oregon State graduation requirements and follow those standards. PE classes, we will have a number of offerings PE1 will be the start of those offerings, and then from there, students can choose courses like weights, lifetime sports, and other types of fitness courses. World language. We will for sure have a Spanish language program. It will follow a Spanish 1 through Spanish 3, and then hit IB Spanish for those who are at that advanced level. We are still trying to decide what our other world language will be that we will offer. And later in this presentation, there will be a QR code for you to give your input so that you can give us what you think the other world language is that we should offer, because we definitely want to make sure that we are catering and meeting the needs of our students and our community. Once again, world language is not a requirement to graduate from high school, but most colleges require 2+ years of the same language in order to get into college. Next, we have the arts. We will have a visual arts and a performing arts program at our school. Visual arts, we are looking at a variety of different options: drawing and painting, screen printing, photography, ceramics, and then also some IB options within those visual arts as well. For our performing arts program, we will have a music program that will include band, such as rock band, pep band, guitar, percussion. We will also have choir, concert choir, a cappella choir, and then a theater film pathway as well that will include video production. One of the things that we have heard from students is that they are really interested in that TV film production, and we are hoping to cater to those desires and make sure that our students have the opportunity to work in the theater department with that lens. We will also have IB options in the performing arts, music and/or theater and film.
Great. So we want to talk a little bit about IB. So what is an IB World School, or an International Baccalaureate School? First, want to take you a little bit through their mission, because I think it's important in how we develop our program at Riverside. So the IB develops inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help create a better and more peaceful world through education that builds intercultural understanding and respect. And that is a mission that IB is dedicated to. And by being a world school, that is a mission and vision that we will also be dedicated to as we move forward and continuing to build our IB program at Riverside. A little bit about the history. IB was created in Switzerland in 1968. It is now offered in about 5,200 schools across 157 countries. And that really highlights how globally connected it is. IB students engage in the same curriculum throughout the world. So IB kind of sets in their IB courses, they set the topics that our teachers need to hit on as they're teaching those classes. And those are the same topics that you would see across the globe. So it really does bring this global mindset and this interconnectedness to the world as a program. So why choose IB? So what will students learn? They'll learn a vast array of things in IB, but really like how research and analysis. They'll learn how to do academic writing, how to read and study effectively. They'll be inquirers. They'll really be problem solvers. So there is a little bit more project-based work in IB, but it's really built around how we learn and how we solve problems and how we can be critical thinkers with a global lens. Students will develop academic confidence, critical thinking skills, and that international mindedness. Students often receive, because some of that is dependent on how well students do on exams and which programs they take, but they can often receive preferred admission status, college credit, and access to scholarships. The state of Oregon and the Oregon University system really values IB and the classes that are taken within the IB program. So we've had some questions about grading. IB does have its own rubric that it grades each class, and that is a 1 to 7 rubric that also shows up on the IB exams. This is how their college credit is awarded. But for our transcripts, we will transcribe those into letter grades. So we'll have a process for taking some of the rubrics that IB uses and how that will translate into letter grades. So our transcripts will look the same as what you would see at Westland or Wilsonville High School. And then just this continued focus on a global mindset. Key curriculum is taught around the world. The curriculum taught in our schools will be the same as we were talking about across the globe. So that's great for students that might want to go to school internationally. That's great for students that want this global mindset or perspective. Also great for students that might be coming from an IB school or they're going to an IB school, that knowing that same curriculum is going to be taught across the world. So some great reasons to choose the IB program. And then how will IB be accessed at Riverside High School? So we're really looking at 4 access points. There's the diploma program, which is kind of IB's top, most rigorous program that they offer. That is done mostly in your junior and senior year. You would take 6 IB courses. There's also a theory of knowledge class that is kind of like IB diploma program's capstone class. There's a community service aspect and an extended essay. I'm really thinking about college essay writing in that piece of the diploma program. And if that's something that you're not interested, but you really want to do a CTE pathway, which we'll talk about in a minute, there is the career program. So you would complete a CTE pathway. You would also take 2 IB courses in your junior or senior year, and you'd complete the CP core and career-related studies. And that career-related studies is really like a capstone class built on how you're going to take what you've learned in your CTE pathway and take that with you to either career right out of high school or on to college. Then there's the opportunity to access through certificate classes. And this is probably this compares most closely with AP, this version of it. So you would just take certain IB courses, and then you would take the exam for that in hopes of completing the assessments, earning a high enough mark, and getting college credit for those classes. And then finally, as we were talking about before, Riverside High School will be an IB for all model. So all students will take at least 1 IB course. And because we're an IB school, a lot of the great aspects of IB will be taught throughout all of our curriculum, because IB really does do a good job of connecting interdisciplinary curriculum across our high school. So that'll be something that students would find in all of our classes, even if it's not an official IB course. I'm going to jump to career technical ed. These are the 3 CTE pathways that we will offer at Riverside when we start up. There'll be a construction and architecture, business and marketing, and health ocs. I'm going to start with kind of our model for building CTE programs. We want pathways that students get hands-on experience with, they're excited to be a part of, and also that stack together. So each program of study would have that option of potentially somebody wanting to go to work right out of high school. That would be an option, and we'll have some certificate pieces for those in those programs, and and we'll talk about those in a minute. But also, these are awesome pathways for somebody that wants to get into business or architecture, construction, health ocs, and they want to take that knowledge and move on to college with it. So how do we make sure we're serving all of our students, from those that want to go to work right away after high school, all the way through those that want to continue at a 4-year university? So construction and architecture, here are some classes that may be offered in this pathway as we're still designing and building it. But students would start in a construction 1 or an architectural design course. They'd move into construction 2, architectural drawing, and those are separate ways. So if you're going to be on the architectural pathway, you would take the architectural classes. If you're on the construction pathway, and you're welcome to switch those over as well as you work through that pathway. There's also the opportunity for construction management. Revit is a program that architects are using more and more in their work, and so that's something we want to offer. And then this advanced construction class, and that would be like kind of like the capstone class for construction, where you'd be out either working on site somewhere, building something with your teacher. You might be on site, maybe it's a teeny home, something in that model where you're actually building something from start to finish. And also in that program, we're really excited to potentially bring a pre-apprenticeship program. So over the course of 2 years, for students that want to get a pre-apprenticeship certificate, they'd be able to work towards that within the classes that they're taking. And that opportunity would provide for them, if they wanted to go apply to an apprenticeship right out of high school, it would potentially add to some of their points for that application. And then in the business and marketing pathway, it's kind of that same sequence, starting with some exploratory intro classes and then getting more and more concentrated. And then the opportunity to help run the school store, thinking about sports marketing, financial literacy, and then a capstone seminar class in the business marketing program would be maybe designing your own business plan and going out and figuring out all the aspects that go into becoming and starting and building a business. And then health occupations is very exploratory at the beginning, just like our other pathways. There are so many health careers out there. We want to get students to be able to see the wide array of opportunity that's out there for them. And then as that program moves on, moving into health occupations, A&P is a critical science class for the health occupations pathway. And then the capstone class where students might be working on a CNA, they might be working on a medical assistant certificate, a dental tech certificate. And so really having that opportunity to get a certificate that would propel them to where they want to go in either their career or moving on to college. One of the connections that we've really been working on for health occupations is Meridian Park, Legacy Meridian Park, just down the way from us. And we're excited about the opportunities to potentially get students in the hospitals and shadowing different parts of how a hospital works and what the different jobs are in a hospital. And then also they have a really cool scholarship program that students can apply to out of high school if they have their CNA, where they'll potentially have the opportunity to apply for a CNA 2 position. And then have them be working there and then continuing on to work on their nursing degree. So really thinking about our CTE pathways is stackable within all 3 of those pathways. We're also going to have opportunities to earn credit through our local community colleges or universities, depending on what the subject area is. And so really we want students to feel like when they're done with those programs, they're prepared to enter either a career or continue on in college. But the other great thing about CTE is it's an opportunity to explore and maybe decide that you don't want to do one of those things. And we think that's very valuable as well. So we're going to put up, I know one of the questions we get a lot of, what will student schedules look like? And remember, we're starting grades 9 and 10. This is going to be a projection 9 through 12. So what students might take all the way through as they're attending Riverside High School. And these are only examples as we work through them. And they're kind of broken up into 4 categories. So we have a traditional category. Maybe it's a student that doesn't want to be an IB, doesn't want to be in one of the CTE pathways, just wants to go through kind of more of a traditional coursework, be at a smaller school. They, for a variety of reasons, they want to be at Riverside and they've chosen to be there, but are on the traditional track. And then we have a CTE pathway that is built just around, this one's built specifically around the health ocs and what it might look like to go through that program while you're at Riverside. The next one over is the IB career program. So if you're wanting to do, this one's in the example of construction and architecture, you wanted to get that certificate, that career program certificate from IB along with your pathway. This might be a sequence of classes that you might take. And then all the way on the right is that IB diploma program pathway. And you notice there's more classes than potentially what they would take each year, but we wanted just to show options and possibilities. Remember, this is very preliminary. These are examples as we continue to go through the process of building Riverside High School, adding teachers to our program. These may change as we continue to move forward, but this might be an example of what your student might want to take while at Riverside.
Next up, we would like to talk about some of our co-curricular activities. We know that part of being in a comprehensive high school is the outside of classroom learning and activities that we have available. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about OSAA athletics. So these are athletic programs that OSAA sponsors. And we are going to be an OSAA member school and be able to offer many of the OSAA athletic programs. So in the fall, we will offer soccer, volleyball, and cross country. In the winter, we will offer basketball, swimming, dance, and cheer. And then in the spring, we will offer track and field, golf, and tennis. We are basing these offerings on the facilities that we currently have. And so initially in our first years, we will not be able to offer football, wrestling, softball, or baseball. As we continue to grow as a school population and as our facilities continue to be developed at RHS, we hope to offer those in the coming years. Because we will begin with 9th and 10th graders at RHS, we will be likely at the freshman and JV levels, particularly for the team sports. We may be able in some individual sports to run and compete at the varsity level. One thing that's really important to note is because of OSAA rules, because we are a public school that will be a member of OSAA, student athletes will not be able to participate in OSAA sponsored programs at West Linn or at Wilsonville. So for example, a student who is really interested in baseball, if they are at Riverside High School, they will not be able to go back to West Linn or Wilsonville to play baseball, even though we do not offer it. So because we are an OSAA member school, students who want to participate in OSAA activities can only participate at RHS and the ones that we offer. Next, we do have athletic programs that are not OSAA sponsored. So if you look there at that second circle, we have our school district has a lot of club sports. So lacrosse is one, rugby is one, unified sports, bowling, those types of club activities. Those are not OSAA sponsored. We hope to be able to offer as many of those as possible at Riverside High School. However, if we are unable to offer those, students can go back to West Linn or Wilsonville and participate in those because they are not OSAA sponsored. If you go up to the OSAA activities at the top, we will be offering OSAA music solo, music choir, and speech and debate. So students will participate. Obviously, this will be based on student interest, but students can participate at RHS in those OSAA activities. We will not be currently offering the OSAA band competition. We are offering band and we are offering, some pep band, some rock band, but we will not be part of the OSAA band. And once again, because that is an OSAA sponsored program, students will not be able to participate at West Linn or at Wilsonville for that program. As we continue to grow, we hope to continue to grow these programs at RHS. So, in summary on the first two, based on student interest, we hope to offer as many of those OSAA music activities, speech and debate, and then those athletic clubs as well. Down below, the student-led club examples. So student-led clubs are a really important part of high school, and we want to offer as many student-led clubs as possible. So some examples of these that you can see in schools around the area: multiple affinity groups, art clubs, DECA, which is a business club, esports, FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America, HOSA, which is the Health Occupations Club, Leadership, MECHA, and National Honor Society. Those are just examples. It is really, really easy for students to create a club that they are interested in. They just have to find some friends, find an advisor, And then work with us as school leaders to create clubs of their interest. We want as many student-led clubs as possible at RHS so that our students can integrate themselves and find their group of people and have things that they are interested in outside of the academic classrooms.
And just to reiterate on the co-curriculars, those are programs that we hope to continue to grow as we grow at Riverside. And the starting at the Frosh and JV level is really because we're starting with 9th and 10th graders. So as we add the following year juniors and the following year seniors, we will be competing at the varsity level as well. One thing that we wanted to really highlight is enrollment. We are going to open enrollment for Riverside on November 1st, and we'll be emailing this out. Everybody in the district will get this information. We're going to open it November 1st. And one of the reasons for doing that is if you're interested in Riverside and you know you want to be at Riverside High School, we would encourage you to enroll during that enrollment period. Those numbers are really going to help us continue to plan and develop programs. Having some initial numbers really gives us an idea of how many teachers that we're going to need, what kind of programs that we're going to need, maybe even some adjustments to small facility pieces as we continue to move forward in the building. And so it's really important for us to get numbers so we understand who's going to be at our school. And also, if you're in that if you enroll during that open enrollment period, it also may give you some opportunities to be in some focus groups as we're thinking about continual planning for Riverside. And so we would encourage you to enroll during that period. After November 30th, we're going to close down that enrollment period, look at who's interested in coming, looking at numbers, and then we'll build a plan out for other enrollment opportunities. But we do have some constraints on size. Riverside High School is only so big. And so we need to be aware of where our numbers are at, and being in that early registration period or enrollment period, it really gives you a good chance of making sure that you're at Riverside. If we, on the possibility, had too many people sign up, then we would work on a plan for that moving forward. But really want to encourage you, if you're interested in Riverside High School, to enroll during that period. And then after that, we'll be in communication with all of our families in the district about next steps for enrollment at Riverside High School.
All right. So now we would love to get some input from you. So on the next slide, there is going to be a QR code, but what we are going to ask for your input on is a few things. One is, what would be the additional world language besides Spanish? So we are for sure offering Spanish. What would be the additional world language that you would be most interested in? Next, we would like to hear your interest on IB and CTE and where you think you fit within those programs. And then lastly, looking at some of our elective courses and giving us your input on what courses your student might be interested in taking over the next years in high school. We would ask that you fill this out once per family so that we can keep our numbers and our data accurate. So on the next page, here is our QR code. We would love that you would take a few minutes once per family to complete this brief survey so that we can have a little bit more information from our students and families about what we want to offer at Riverside High School.
So we want to thank you for watching this presentation. Again, this was a copy from our info meeting night that we had on 10/10/2022. And if you have questions, feel free to check out our website. We're adding FAQs on there as soon as we have information, or reach out to one of us and we will do our best to answer those questions for you. So we hope you have a great day.